Then you start to just have thoughts about like, okay, well, am I even meant to still be doing this? Maybe
Right.
this is like the moment of like, all right, this is a sign I need to fall back, just be, a regular
Right.
person. But I really felt like the work that I was doing was something that I was called to.
Hey everybody, it's Deandra Marie, and welcome to another episode of Imposter Syndrome on the Road, where I take my interview series and make it mobile, continuing to sit down with creatives, artists, and entrepreneurs and professionals to discuss their journey and how they combat imposter syndrome. And I am so excited. I'm always excited, but I'm so excited for this one. Because sitting to my right is Josh Howard, who is known to most by Gentro, and he is a multidisciplinary creative, man of faith, and community organizer who believes that the richest harvests grow when art, faith, and community share the same ground. A proud Plainfield, New Jersey native, like me, Josh discovered his voice early on and honed it at Rowan University, where he combined poetry and filmmaking with grassroots organizing, helping other young people find freedom and expression. In 2020, he launched Good Soil, a streetwear brand born from an earlier design venture and rooted in the belief that when you strengthen the roots, the field will flourish. More than a clothing line, Good Soil is a movement, an extension of faith and advocacy that fuels the Good Soil Collective, a community initiative offering everything from open mics and wellness events to environmental cleanups, mental health-centered showcases, and faith-based dialogue. Its mission, to serve the foundations of community, environment, faith, and culture with intentionality and love. And Josh brings this same intentionality to his visual storytelling. For more than 15 years, he has produced and directed content for brands, artists, and events, including New York Fashion Week, and now serves as video production manager for Plainfield Community Television. In recognition of his work, the city of Plainfield honored him as a pioneer of innovative leadership. And last but certainly not least, Josh is also the director of photography for Imposter Syndrome Season 2 and Season 3 coming soon. You can spot me in all the Good Soil apparel in all of those episodes. So thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. I'm happy to be here.
I know. We're sitting in Queen City Coffee Roasters, a staple coffee shop and cafe in Plainfield, and also where you do a lot of your work in the open mics and things like that. So you've always been a community leader, community organizer. You've also just always been creative and an advocate, right? So what has it been like merging all of those identities together?
I think it's easy now, but it wasn't always. So I think early on when it came to me pursuing creativity, I had this teacher in 5th grade at Cook School in Plainfield.
Shout out Cook School.
Where she basically took us outside. There's like a little lake next to the school, and she was like, I want you guys to write what you feel, right? And, for me, that was a kind of a revelatory moment of like, when you're creating things, you're supposed to bring your heart to it. You're supposed to bring some depth to it.
For sure.
But even a little bit after that, I still feel like it was mainly kind of focused on me and my direct experiences, my pain, my trauma, whatever. It wasn't until I got to college where I really started to open that up to the community at large. So I had a lot of, different student-led organizations that I was a part of. And that for me was kind of like the moment of, oh, you can use your voice to actually impact change. It's been kind of merging together deeper and deeper, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about the core, right? Whether it's the core of you as an individual or the core of community, I think those things overlap. I think it's very hard to separate those things. So at this point now, it's very natural. That flow is pretty easy for me, only because I've had years of those two paths merging.
Always merging. Yeah. Wow. Clearly, this is all culminated into the city of Plainfield in 2024, honoring you with the pioneer of innovative leadership. So what does innovative leadership mean to you? How do you hone it? And then how do you feel like the rest of us out here have our own innovative leadership that we can hone for ourselves and for the community?
So I think innovative leadership, when I think about it, is really you connecting the present to the future, right? So you see, something that's missing presently, and the path might not be the most direct or something that's already been laid out, right? So you have to think of new and creative ways to get there, right? So for me, a person who's an innovative leader is somebody who has an idea or a solution and tries to create some type of structure or pathway to achieving that, right? So that's something that I try to embody. I feel like I'm very hyper aware of the lack in a lot of in a lot of situations.
Right. All the red tape, you've seen it, you've seen other people experience it.
And it's very frustrating because that does end up leading a lot of people to feel helpless in situations. But it's really about people who want to see change, who want to see a better future. For a lot of them, it's really about just knowing what type of leader you can be, right? Not everybody needs to be, Martin Luther King or making these grand speeches and everything like that, right? Like that has a place. But then, you also have organizers who help kind of coordinate the logistics of certain things, right? And create spaces for those people to be able to do what they're doing. You have, your mobilizers, right? So those are like, basically like, even like influencers online, right? Like they can do a lot of work to amplify messages that are already being communicated, right? And help other people understand why that's something they need to be tapped into. So, I know there's a lot of insecurity that comes up, even for me as somebody who does stuff on the local level. I will look at other people who are doing stuff on a different scale and I'm just like, I wish, I was there, or like, I wish I felt equipped to the level that they seem to be equipped, right? But there's plenty that I can do in my capacity. I think that the impact that I can have, that's my impact. Like I don't need to compare that to the next person, right? So, and I think anybody that's trying to be a leader or even just, support a goal or a movement of any kind, right? It's just about knowing what it is that you can uniquely contribute to that movement. So
I love that. And I love that you brought up Martin Luther King. I mean, I think that he's just one of the more clearly well-known leaders. However, he had a whole team that would help him coordinate those marches and help him give feedback on speeches and different things like that. And it even resonates with me with having a team for Imposter Syndrome season 2 and 3, right? And I remember we were talking, I was actually pretty frustrated. And I was just like, like we were supposed to shoot, but it didn't go well. And then he's like, Josh was like, so I can help you with that. I'm like, perfect. And, I think if one watches the season 1 of Imposter Syndrome, even to season 2 and season 3, the production value continues to go up. And it's because of people like you and other people that work on the show that help, you know? So I completely feel you with that. I'm glad you brought that up. And just to pivot a bit, you casually told me via email that 3 years ago, all of your Good Soil merch was stolen. What was that like? Because you were still pretty early on in the Good Soil brand, the collective. You were about 2 years in the game at that point. You're just trying to do your thing and, be an innovative leader. And then all your merch gets stolen. And that can be devastating for anybody. So how did you overcome that? And then how did maybe that experience teach you on a higher scale on combating imposter syndrome head on?
I think for me, it was tough when it happened. Because,
Facts.
I don't have I'm not a person that has like a lot of, disposable income, what I'm saying? Like realistically, if it wasn't for, the blessing of being able to stay employed during the pandemic, I don't think I would have started a brand. What I'm saying? I was able to work from home and still have, the same money. So all the money that would have went towards, whether it be, driving to work or, paying for lunch while I'm at work or like whatever, I just put that to the side and then eventually made it happen. So, when you're putting your resources into something, right, you get very attached, and to have all that kind of taken away, it was very tough. And then you start to just have thoughts about like, okay, well, am I even meant to still be doing this? Maybe
Right.
this is like the moment of like, all right, this is a sign I need to fall back, just be, a regular
Right.
person. But I really felt like the work that I was doing was something that I was called to. I felt like, even though at the time I couldn't necessarily see how far things would go, what I'm saying, or the level of impact that would be had,
Yeah.
I still felt like it was necessary for me to continue. And I think that attachment to that purpose is what helped me overcome that period, and allowed me to kind of rebuild the inventory a little bit. Allowed me, I think around the same time as when I started to shift more into the event space, and just like being more intentional with the community elements, because it's really the community that's helped things sustain to this point. We're about to celebrate 5 years, and yeah,
Let's go.
yeah,
I love that.
it's a beautiful moment. There's a lot of people who don't last that long, and I don't take it for granted. But for me, I also know that there's more to go, and things might not look the same. Things always evolve over time, right? But the core of this thing is really about community. It's really about helping to build all those pillars that hold community together, and that's something that in this time especially is 1,000% necessary.
Absolutely.
So,
It's not easy at all. And that leads me into my final question. Both community work and creative work come with its own set of challenges and its frustration, whether it's the unpredictability of people on the community side or feeling forced to create when life is lifing. So I know for me, it's been a lot harder to balance a 9 to 5, my creative work, my business, and then still show up on social media. Like, I have not been the best on that lately, but it's like, but then you need that to promote all the other things. It's a lot. So how do you manage all of those different frustrations, and just stay connected to your why?
Just consistently reminding myself, that's one. I think that we talk about things like affirmations, like looking yourself in the mirror, talking to yourself every morning, and like all that kind of stuff. But like, it's really helpful. It's really those small things that's like, when you're in the thick of it, like those moments help, kind of fortify your strength in order to endure, right?
For sure.
I think that the belief that I have that, God has a purpose behind these things, right? I think I'm truthfully, I don't think I'm an entrepreneur at heart. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
I think that everything that I do when it comes to entrepreneurship, everything I do when it comes to, creativity, there's a larger purpose behind these things. I just happen to identify with the creative side a little bit more. But, so I think that attachment to purpose is big. And then, just the redefining of your why is also big. The why you had 5 years ago is not going to be the same why that you have now. It's not going to be the same why you have in 5 years.
Well, hopefully, if you're growing and evolving, we would hope.
Yeah, like if you're moving with intention, and you're either scaling or just like you're really in the thing, right?
Right.
It naturally transforms over time,
for real.
So, and just leaving yourself open to that transformation, right? A lot of times the frustration can come from a misalignment, where it's just like, oh, well, I started this because of this, and this is how I felt about it, so why am I not resonating with, or like, why do I have this weird, like, dissonance that exists, and it's really just because, you might not have reset that foundation. You know what I'm saying? You might not have taken the time to properly reflect on the journey that you traveled so far, and which direction you need to go, right? Because if you have an opportunity to do something this way, or you have an opportunity to have an impact that way, you have 17 different things coming your way. If you're not clear on that why, if you're not clear on the reason behind what you're doing, it's going to be very easy to go down the wrong path, and it might look good, but right. I've been super fortunate to have a lot of amazing people, like such as yourself, A lot of people that have, whether it be come out to events, support the brand, just tell me why the things matter to them.
For
like
sure.
hearing other people's reasoning for supporting, it's very encouraging and motivating. And, that's definitely another battery in the pack. So
I feel you. No, that's totally real. I always feel a bit of recharged or inspired whenever we get to chat. And I don't know if I've ever told you that, but like occasionally we'll come here and we'll just like catch up and I'm just like, okay, I really do feel like I'm doing the thing. And sometimes I don't lean into community as much as I maybe should to keep that, battery in my back, but I never take it for granted. So I also want to thank you for being part of my community and pouring into me as, we continue to pour into each other.
Yeah.
And I know I said that was my final question, but this is the true final question.
All good.
We're in 5 years of Good Soil.
Yeah.
I know you said your why may change over time, but what is your vision for the next 5 years?
This next season, we're going to be going a little bit deeper into community. So we're going to be expanding, the types of events that we do.
Nice.
I think that the clothing portion of the brand has been a beautiful element. I think that we're going to dedicate some of the energy that we put there into some other creative elements of the brand to help, really invest in the people of Plainfield specifically, but then also just Black and brown people in general.
Right.
So I'm excited to scale up. We're going to add some new members to the team.
Love that.
And yeah, it's looking beautiful. But ultimately, it's all about making sure that no matter what, the community is strong. The people are strong. They have what they need. So whether that be financial literacy events, creative writing workshops, open mics, we have a lot of different things that we do. But there's always that feeling of like, there's more to be done.
Right.
So as long as I got the energy.
Right. There will always be something for us to do.
Yeah.
Right. There's always going to be red tape somewhere and somewhere else to lead others to and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
But I wish you nothing but the best. I hope to be here to see the 5, 10, 20, 15, 20 years of Good Soil. And thank you for continuing to just help others create a strong foundation that we can be truly rooted in. So I would like for you to let the people know how they can keep up with you, how they can keep up with Good Soil and all the great things that you guys have going on. And supporting the merch. Don't forget it's a shop.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, the easiest way, you can go to livegoodsoil.com, LIVE goodsoil.com. You can follow us on Instagram, LIVE Good Soil. Those are kind of the main two ways. Every event that we have, we post on Instagram, Facebook. But we also have new merch that we put out on a relatively consistent basis. So a lot of the proceeds from that goes into the community work that we do. So, if you like what you heard, definitely support, and yeah, I'm just excited to be able to bring y'all some amazing things in the future. I'm excited to continue to chop it up,
Absolutely.
With this amazing individual over here. But yeah, so just continue to look out because we do have some like real exciting things that I can't talk about specifically just yet.
It's real when they can't talk about it. When it's projects you can't really start to share yet, but that's exciting. So I thank you so much for sitting down with me, Josh, and I thank you for watching. If you are looking for the extended version of this interview, if you are looking for early clips, early releases, and just things you will not probably find on my Instagram, please support me. Support the Patreon. I will leave the link right here. Your name will be featured in the credits, and you can get all this good Imposter Syndrome content, okay? Plus a little extra, all right? So thank you again. Continue to find your foundation, water your community, and remember, Imposter Syndrome ain't got nothing on you.